All right. Hello. So the time has finally arrived for me to enter writing purgatory. The editing stage. At least that's the way it used to be for me. But this time around, I'm actually looking forward to it because I'm going to be using some really fun resources along the way. And I wanted to make this video for a few reasons. First, one of my favorite things to do for my Rebel MFA Sanctuary members and my readers is give behind the scenes looks at my writing process. And at this point, they have watched me create in public a lot, but editing actually isn't something I've ever demonstrated. And it's probably because before now it was a very nebulous process for me. There really wasn't as much rhyme or reason, and it was pretty painful, to be honest. But I am so excited now that I get to share this process, at least this part of the process, with them and with you. Second, I wanted to gauge interest for this type of content on a, what shall we say, episodic basis. So maybe like a edit with me challenge or something similar. Just kind of wanted to get people's thoughts on that. And then lastly, I really wanted to showcase some of the resources that I'm going to be using for my edits. If you saw my video where I talked about using the Autocrit tools, then this is going to be pretty similar. Well, the content will be familiar because I'm actually using the Autocrit output to do my first layer of edits. So a little backstory on this particular novel. It was my first writing fiction to heal novel, and it is very near and dear to my heart. It's also been a labor of love over the years because when I originally wrote it, it was half prose, half comic book style. So when I decided to serialize it, I had to translate all those chapters into prose. And I think it ended up making some parts so much stronger and then other parts kind of weaker. But we'll see how it landed overall as we move through the process. So with all of that said, let's get into it. So this is the cover, and I am going to put that out of the way. I can figure out how. All right, so here is the document that I exported from Autocrit. So basically, this is a 157 page report. And again, if you saw my other video about Autocrit, you'll recognize some of these elements because I showed them in that video. So what this is really going to do, what this first layer is going to be about is cross-referencing and looking at inventory. So that's kind of how I'm thinking of this document and working through this document is what Autocrit is pulling from my manuscript are all of these factors, but they're not giving, there is a bit of an opinion. You'll see later on what I mean. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that everything in this document is something that I have written. So it's not pulling from random manuscripts. It's the AI isn't generating anything new. All it's doing is telling me what is already present in my manuscript. Now, where that becomes discernment is in where it gets into some of the suggestions or like you'll see down here, these contradictions. So they're possible contradiction events. And that's why they say possible, because you cannot write a book without contradiction. People are contrary, so we are going to act as such. So the discernment comes in and deciding, is this something that I need to look at further, or is this a non-issue? And that's why I have some of this, this key up here, because I know that I want to go through quickly and be like, yep, this element is good. It's cross-referenced, or no, this makes no sense, or I'm gonna have to think about this. So that's really what this first layer is all about, is just getting the lay of the land, seeing what is already present, and then where the holes are, or where the contradictions are, or where something feels like it's not hitting the mark. So we shall get into it. And I'm just gonna kind of talk as I go. I don't have a script for this. I don't even know how this is gonna go, but we're just gonna kind of jump in. So I'm gonna take a drink of my coffee. So first I'm just gonna check the synopsis. That all sounds fine. Okay, so for characters, what I want to do is make sure that all of the characters in this chapter, because we're at chapter 1. Oh, and actually I should turn on the navigation. Yeah. So this will give us even more of a breakdown of where we're at. So we're in chapter 1. Synopsis looks great. Now I want to make sure that these primary characters that are in this chapter are actually supposed to be there. And I can just tell you, I'm going to grab this. All right. Yep. Oh, poop. Put on tracking. I'll toggle that back on later. I just don't want some of these. Okay. I'm getting really picky with my formatting. Okay. This is true. All right, so with these character traits, I want to highlight areas that I think is right, and things that maybe perhaps I didn't do as well. Okay, so what I basically did here is I just wanted to highlight all the things that it's saying that like her character traits, and I want to pull that out to make sure that I'm continuity, that this is either wrapped up or continued through other chapters, but also, is this how I want her to come off? And this is that these elements are how I envisioned her in the beginning chapters. So that's good. Okay, conflict is a big one. This is going to tell us where the conflicts are. And for that, we're going to go back. Okay, this is a conflict. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is a conflict, but it's not really a big conflict. This one, however, is, again, this is a small one, but it is there. Okay, now we're getting into more of the characters. Yep, this is true. So what I'm doing, you guys, is validation. And by that, I don't mean like praise validation. I mean, I'm making sure that all of this that is pulled out from my story is correct, like that it got the right officer's name, the right, because sometimes, especially with as many hands and in times that this novel has gone through, sometimes these things get missed. So like I think the first time I forgot to even name the officers. So I'm just validating and making sure that all of this really is correct. Okay, world building. There's not a whole lot of world building, especially in the beginning. I like that they put this in here. Okay, contradiction events. All right, this is where I feel like I'll spend a lot of my time. So this is a good example. I don't know that this is an issue. Or I should say, I don't know if I want it to be an issue. I really don't think, I mean, sorry if you hear my cat in the background. Okay. So yeah, this is a discernment. So it's saying that she initially surrenders to the robber by raising her hands and agreeing to give him money from the register showing compliance and fear. But she doesn't, in the actual chapter, she doesn't do it out of compliance and fear. She does it out of a distraction so that she can push the silent alarm and grab the bat. So to me, this really isn't, but you know what? Like I said, it's taking what's written. So if it's thinking that, it means probably need to clarify that she does it. Can't see. She does it as distraction and not out of fear. Need to make that a little bit smaller. Hmm. The one thing though is this is paradox. So both are true. They at first do disapprove, and I think even later on they disapprove, but they also can't deny that when they watch the replay from the cameras that she was badass. So this is life. This is paradox. This is actually a really good point. So it'll come in the next chapter, but I think I think her dad needs to pick her up. Because they only have one vehicle, and that becomes a thing in the next chapter. So she wouldn't have driven there, I don't think. I don't think this is a contradiction. I'm just gonna straight up say no. Okay, now we're at the timeline analysis. Okay, so one thing that I love about this timeline analysis that Autocrit does is editing or not editing. What's really helpful is if you have a breakdown of what's happening in your scenes. And so most of us, I think, well, I shouldn't say that. Um, those of us who plot or use some form of plotting, um, we have that outline. Well, this can work as a reverse outline if you're someone who pants and you just write as you go. This timeline analysis is going to be super helpful because it's going to list everything that's happening in your chapter like beats. And so then if all you were looking at was the timeline analysis from chapter 1, chapter 2, blah, 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 you can see the progression of your chapters and your scenes. And like I said, for those of us who already do outline, what this helps is shore up the outline because it surely has changed between you plotting and you writing for most people, at least I think. That's how it works. Mine never stay 100% aligned with the outline. And I think that is the worry for a lot of pantsers is they don't want to be like rigid and stuck to an outline. And I get that. That's why I leapfrog a lot of my drafting. Anyway, going back to this timeline analysis is really great for that. So I'm just basically reviewing, making sure that, again, all of these things happen and they happen in the order I needed them to happen. So that looks great. So what I'm going to do when I'm done with these edits is take these timeline analysis for each chapter and match them up to my drafting software so that I have some sort of a beat sheet kind of to look at while I'm revising. So this looks good. I just see foreshadowing. That's not something I would have looked for if I was doing an edit before now. I would not have even really thought of this. So I like that it's giving me this information that I can see what I've done well and what I could improve on. And see, like here is an example. No, it's not. That's right. It is the protagonist who is Izzy. Vita Carlisle is her sketch, is her character. This is definitely true. Yep. This one isn't. It's not, no, that's not really a thing. So I'm gonna go and yep. Okay, and then plot thread tracking, which is also probably going to be one of the biggest assets of this document. Because keeping track of your plot threads, if you already do, great. If you don't, this is going to help a lot. It's also going to help you fill in a lot of holes, but also just little things like this actually never gets resolved. And is it something that needs to be resolved? So I'm going to have to put a comment here. Never resolved. Does it need to be? That's just something I want to consider as I'm editing. And I should go back and grab that one. I think that one's up for debate. This one is good. I wouldn't say that they have a strained relationship. So that makes me wonder where this coming from. Is it something I need to worry about? Now, some of you might be like, these are so specific. Why are you wasting time or spending time on it? And it's because when I like to like edit in batches. So seeing these all laid out like this, like the ones that I need to debate or think about, helps me when I'm in that chapter know, okay, this is something I need to think about. Is it going to be an issue? Is it not? Is it something I need to find a solution for, or is it something I can just drop and let go? And for me, that's important. But all right, this one is non-existent because she doesn't. So I'm gonna put, where are we at? Where are we at? Not a plot thread. So then we've got these two that I know are actual plot threads. I know that they continue on. So I just want to mark them. Okay. And these genre analysis, there's not really a whole lot that I think I'm going to do with them. I mean, it's kind of fun to know, like, you know, this chapter feels more like action adventure than thriller or this or that. But I don't really think that there's anything, unless it's like wildly different. Like it's being described as a horror when it's a romance. You know what I mean? So I don't think this is like a huge deal. And I mean, yeah, it seems to fit. Okay. So then I would repeat that process with chapter 2 and on. So if you found this helpful, I would love to know if this is something you'd like to see more of. You know, it didn't really take us all that long. And again, that was me stopping and talking a lot at you guys and not really getting like solely focused on the editing part. So I guess I would like to know too, like, do you want me to stop and talk about things, or do you just want to watch me go through and edit? So yeah, please let me know, and I hope this was helpful and I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you next time.